Hey, have you ever been let down by a ride when it mattered most? Well, guess what? You're not alone. Joining me today on Top Dog Tips, I'm talking with Matt Bourdot, the owner of Driver Seat Calgary, Western Airdrie, where service isn't just logistics, it's personal. So Matt will show us how thoughtful transit can turn everyday trips into meaningful connections. Stick around. You may never see a ride the same way again. So, hey, Matt, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
You've been around for business in the market for a bit, and tell me a little bit about a personal story from yourself. Like, how have you transitioned from the cruise ship service industry to owning boutique custom transport business? And how did those early travel experiences shape your approach to building a care-first transport service?
Yeah, you would think that they wouldn't be aligned, but I've always felt that travel is the best kind of education. I've got a bit of an accent, so for those people that don't know, I'm from New Zealand, and I left New Zealand with just a suitcase, a sense of adventure, and a surprisingly high tolerance for airplane food. Working in travel, especially cruise lines, was like getting a front row seat to human connection. I met every type of traveler imaginable. Families barely holding it together, starry-eyed honeymooners, and retirees who clearly decided why not was their new life motto. 3 big lessons that really stuck with me during that time was, and still now, I guess, is travel turned me into a empathy ninja. Being the new guy in a foreign place, you learn really fast how much kind words and a helping hand can really mean to somebody. Adaptability, because things will go sideways. Lost luggage, missed buses, rogue weather, you name it. And the third thing that really stuck with me was the little things that really count. It's not the grand gestures, but the simple stuff. A genuine smile, pointing someone towards a good coffee, or just being the person who actually cares. Serving people from all walks of life showed me what a great service really is. Thoughtful, timely, personal. That's how I roll. Whether I'm helping newlyweds or getting a team to a tournament, it's all about anticipating needs often before they do. And that's the sweet spot where great service lives.
Yeah. So that's fairly powerful. You're really taken the personal service aspect of logistics. Like I can see how you've worked it into your business, your philosophy, and you shared with me that your business stands on 3 foundational pillars: tailored planning, proactive communication, and thoughtful execution. So can you explain how these work in practice?
Yeah, great question. Those 3 pillars really are the backbone of how we operate here at Driver Seat Calgary, Western Airdrie. And they weren't cooked up in a boardroom. They came from real lived experiences. I spent years working in the travel and customer service industries, from cruise ships to corporate operations. And I've seen firsthand what makes people really, truly feel like they're looked after. One that you mentioned, tailored planning. That means that we don't cookie cut solutions here. Every group, every event, and every ride is different. Whether it's transporting a wedding party that wants to keep grandma warm and the groomsmen in line, or supporting companies that need reliable transport for staff in rural areas, or helping folks who don't drive to get to work with dignity and ease. We build a plan around the people first, then the route, the timing, and then everything else. Proactive communication is all about keeping everybody in the loop before they even think to ask. We don't wait for the "where's my driver" text. We're checking weather, traffic, timing, accessibility, and yes, where the porta potties are if we're in a rural wedding. It's all about reducing stress and not adding to it. And thoughtful execution, well, that's where the rubber hits the road, literally. For us, it's the little things: showing up early, helping with bags, knowing where riders need extra assistance without being asked. It's about being present, being alert, and being kind, because great service is really loud. It really is, but it's always showing up where it counts. What sets us apart is that we see ourselves as part of your experience, not just your ride. We're not Uber, we're not school bus, we're the in-between that gets it right.
Okay. That level of attention to detail and the care that you offer is powerful. So, maybe I think a great way to see that model in action would be a story about one of your people that came through. You talked about an Australian couple that came over on a bucket list experience. Maybe tell us that story.
Sure, absolutely. An Aussie couple reached out before the trip to Calgary here. They're wanting help to plan a day tour. So we mapped it out in advance, and during our chats, we gave some honest advice about their airport transport, because they wanted to use us. Oh, can you transfer us from the airport to the hotel? And what about a day? And so on and so forth. And I just told them honestly, like, you'll save money using another option for that leg. That's not exactly what most people expect from a transportation company, but that kind of transparency is just how I roll. And because we're flying halfway around the world, I also sent them something critical, a short list of great local coffee shops, which according to them, that was the most important part of the trip planning. And frankly, I couldn't agree more. Flat whites are a big thing in Australia and New Zealand, so it was key to make sure that they had a touch of home when they came here to Calgary. Now that's where things got really interesting. So they arrived happy and ready for their vacation. However, their luggage didn't. Days went by, still no bags. To make matters worse, they were set to hop on a train to head to BC from Alberta. So I offered to monitor their luggage for them and help coordinate pickup and delivery while they're off exploring the Rockies. They didn't even have to ask. Jet-lagged, bagless, and just adjusting to what they jokingly called driving on the wrong side of the road, they were still able to relax because we had their sick. Thankfully, their luggage showed up on time. Had it not, they knew we're in their corner for them. For their sightseeing day, we paired them up with one of our best chauffeurs, who basically is like hiring a local tour guide with great stories and even better playlist. They had a brilliant day. They had their great coffee. And they said the experience felt more like being shown around by a friend than a hired service. They later told us once they got back home, it was one of their highlights of their Canadian trips. And that for me is what it's all about. It's not about getting people from A to B, but reducing stress, adding joy, and leaving them with a great story to take home.
It certainly shows your values in action for sure. So, that flipping gears a little bit, when I was doing a little bit of background and research into the industry that you're in, one of the things that struck me that I didn't know about was the challenges about rural access and the kind of community impact that your service can have. So reliable transit isn't just convenient, it's strategic. Driver seat also serves small towns where transit is scarce. So what challenges have you observed, and how do you step in?
Yeah, for many, especially in rural or underserved areas, it's a lifeline. The barriers out there go way beyond inconvenience. The blockers to opportunities, connection, and just living a life of dignity in some cases. First, many of these areas, public transport is either limited, very limited, or simply doesn't exist. No car, your options are calling in favors or missing out entirely. Whether it's work, a medical appointment, or even picking up groceries can become impossible. Second, even when someone does land a job, say a care facility or a processing plant, those early or late shifts means nothing is there for transportation options during those hours. If you can't get there, the opportunity disappears. And third, it's all about dignity and safety as well. So we've heard stories of people walking for miles in brutal weather or jumping into unsafe car rides with strangers just to get to work or an appointment. Transportation shouldn't feel like a roll of the dice. One of my proudest partnerships is with a shelter organization here in Alberta. We're relying on volunteer drivers to help get their clients to interviews, court dates, medical appointments, which, as you can imagine, wasn't always reliable or discreet. We stepped in, offered consistent professional service, always respectful, always on time, treating each person like a human being and not a case number. We've also partnered with employers outside of the city who are losing staff, not because pay or performance, but because workers literally couldn't get to work. We designated charter routes that started early, run late, and match up with their shift times. It's helped companies retain staff and helped employees, I should say, hold on to their jobs that they might have lost due to geography alone. That, at the end of the day, is really about us not just filling seats. We're closing gaps. We're building access, strengthening communities, and reminding people that they matter, no matter where they live.
So how does it tie into actual employee well-being and retention in your world?
Here's where things get really interesting. Most companies don't realize it, but transportation can quite literally bleed the bottom line. When employees can't reliably get to work, or the journey's too long, stressful, or inconsistent, it leads to higher absenteeism, burnout, and eventually turnover. But it goes even deeper than that. A lack of transportation can make a company less attractive to potential employees. We've seen people not even apply for roles, not because they're not qualified or interested, but because they simply can't get there. Employers might be missing out on top-tier talent for reasons that are completely fixable. Here's how transportation can tie into performance. So reliability keeps people employed. If someone misses a shift because their ride falls through, they often get labeled as unreliable, when really the system failed them. We design consistent, on-time transport that lines up with shift schedules, especially in rural or hard-to-reach areas. That means fewer no-shows, fewer write-ups, and fewer we need to talk conversations. We reduce stress and boost morale. A safe, comfortable ride means employees start their day calm, not frazzled by navigating 2 buses and a 30-minute walk. They show up ready for work or not already half burnt out for the day. That shift in mindset shows up in performance, attitude, and retention. It also saves money, plain and simple. Turnover is expensive. Any company will tell you that that's the truth. Recruitment, training, lost productivity, it all adds up. A modest investment in transportation can prevent those costs before they even start. So really, this isn't just a nice to have, it's a strategic tool. Smart transportation planning supports your workforce, strengthens your culture, and gives your company a competitive edge in attracting and keeping great people. You're not just moving people, you're unlocking potential.
So tell me, looking ahead, where do you see yourself in driver's seat in the next 10 years?
Well, that's a deep question. In 10 years, well, people saying that's a successful transportation company. I want them saying, now that's a company that made a difference. Because to me, true success isn't just measured in bookings or buses, it's in moments. An employee who finally makes it to a job that changed their future, a couple who said that was one of the best parts of our wedding that went off without a hitch, or a rural community that finally feels seen, supported, and connected. I want Driver's Seat Calgary Western Airdrie to be the name people trust when it really matters, when reliability, care, and actual heart aren't just nice to have, they're non-negotiable. And just as importantly, I want to grow leaders. I want my team to say, this is where I learned what it means to lead and to make an impact. So the goal isn't just to go bigger, it's to go deeper, to build something that's not just profitable, but really meaningful. A company people can be proud to work for and even prouder to ride with.
You know what? Your purpose is aligned with your mission and vision. And you hear all those kind of cliche words, but you know what? You're living it. You're living it live, and you're living out the dream. So kudos to you for that. How do people get a hold of you? What's the best way?
Well, reach out. They can reach out to me anytime. So they could visit Driver's Seat Calgary Western Airdrie, our website. You can give us a call, or even on Facebook, you can text. We'd love to be a part of your journey. If there's anything we can do to play a part in creating something great for you guys for whatever, whether it's an event or whether it's work-related and you're looking after your employees. We're here for you. That's what it's all about. It's here to support you.
Okay, well, that's the time we have for today's episode. Thanks for watching Top Dog Tips. Matt reminded us that service isn't just about logistics. It's about making meaningful connection along the way. If this episode changed how you feel about transportation, why not pass it on to someone who plans the journeys that matter? So until next time, go and make every ride matter. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Greg. It's been a pleasure.
Hey, thanks for listening to today's episode of Top Dog Tips. You want more Top Dog Tips? Head over to yyccalgarybusiness.ca and subscribe so you never miss another episode. So do you have someone in mind who should be on our show? Tap the Be a Guest link on our homepage to apply. And if you're looking to raise your profile in your Calgary business community, join the YYC Calgary Business Network by signing up for a free business listing, and also check out our shop club designed to drive even more visibility and sales to your business. So until next time, stay visible, stay positive, and keep leading the pack. This is the Top Dog, Greg Belanger, signing off.